The final entrant in the Survivor Series WarGames match has been confirmed. John Cena has potentially teased a match with Logan Paul, and has CM Punk been removed from AEW Fight Forever? Stay tuned for the news. We are kicking things off here with the reveal from last night's SmackDown, Ross. We've got the final entrant confirmed for next week's Survivor Series.
We do. Earlier in the show, it was teased that Sami Zayn would not see this mystery man coming, which then gave away who exactly that mystery man was going to be. And yes, that mystery man was Kevin Owens after Butch defeats Sami Zayn in the World Cup tournament.
Yeah.
A surprise result for all concerned, I would imagine. Out comes the Bloodline. We do a big beatdown. Out comes Roman. Beat down some more. Who answers the beatdown? It's Kevin Owens. Roman Reigns is shocked. Kevin Owens comes down to the ring. Eventually, he gets a stunner on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is in tatters on the floor.
He is.
Not been a good couple of weeks, has it?
It's not. I mean, I'm really glad that Kevin Owens is healed to be in this match. I think that was the concern going into it. Was he was injured at a house show? Would he be available? I think.
Do you reckon it was a red herring? It was just like they all know it's going to be me, so I'll pretend to be a bit injured. So you see, they're not expecting me. Those hardcore fans.
If Vince was in charge of WWE, I would have said no. But with Triple H, maybe just to like work us all a bit.
You never know, do you?
Yeah, you really don't. But like, I'm really glad he's healed. I feel like he was the logical choice for this match, right? He's been in WarGames before, so. He's the only one in this match that's got experience. Oh no, Pete Dunne.
And obviously Owens coming back was such a surprise for all involved. Upon delivering the stunner to Roman Reigns, Michael Cole exclaimed at the top of his lungs, Fraser, Owens and his pals are feeling broody.
Whoa.
Which is...
they're feeling very, very broody. I don't know who's going to win this match, because I feel like they could have folk in there to have the Bloodline lose, but it would still mean Reigns is losing.
I don't know if Reigns getting the fall really hampers Reigns too much, because I think it opens up that storyline possibility of him being like disappointed with whoever takes the fall. Mm-hmm. And my great fear that it would be Sami Zayn who took the fall, and Roman would start to get like annoyed, because he's humoured him for a while. Now he seems to be like legitimately in love with the guy, and if he was to lose to a pinfall from Kevin Owens, for example, next Saturday at Survivor Series WarGames, will he then go the other way? I don't know.
I think this is definitely where we see Sami Zayn kind of teased leaving the Bloodline. With Kevin Owens in there, it kind of makes it a bit more sense. But staying with SmackDown just now, we've got a little bit more confirmation, a follow up to last week's episode. Bray Wyatt's first return feud has kind of been confirmed. I know you'll be very excited about this because it stars one of your favorites.
It's The Rock, everybody.
It's The Rock. So it's Bray Wyatt versus The Rock. But yeah, so after attacking him last week in a backstage segment, Bray Wyatt is now feuding with LA Knight. Now, Wyatt came down to the ring, was like, look, man, I want to apologize. I'm not going to do the southern accent.
Go on. That's what we're all here for.
Okay, like, hey, man, I'm down here. I'm going to apologize. Like that.
It's like he's actually in the room. Like if you close your eyes, it's like Bray Wyatt here.
Like Bray's here. But he wanted to apologise, saying that it wasn't him that attacked LA Knight. It was. But he came out, LA Knight went to shake his hand, but instead slapped him and then ran up the ramp quite cowardly.
It was fantastic. He's like, now we're even, it's fine. But then he gets back on the apron, so he does. And he's like, and Bray Wyatt's like, did you mean that? We're even, this, that, and the other. The next thing you do is going to determine the future of your life, basically. Will you shake my hand? Will you not? LA Knight goes in for the handshake, but then he gives him a 2-for-1 special. Dwayne The Rock Johnson is on fire. But it didn't end there, did it, Fraser?
It did not, because on the screen behind him, there was sort of flashes of the Uncle Howdy, Bray Wyatt, mysterious type imagery. And then he sort of jumped out, he left, he went to leave work. And I thought the interview was quite great, where she was like, where are you going, Elena? I said, well, I finished my shift. I'm not, do you stay around after work? But opening the door, there was the Uncle Howdy mask, which I think everyone sort of was like, it's the first time we've seen Uncle Howdy manifest
as a real human being. Yeah.
And then we later jumped to seeing LA Knight laid out backstage with furniture and chairs, everything on top of him, as everyone's like, get this stuff off, get him off. He's been attacked by Uncle Howdy.
He has, and it's a nice throwback to Hell in a Cell, the win with Rollins, because Rollins put a big pile of stuff on top of the Fiend, didn't he? And started hitting it with the big hammer. No, was it the little hammer or the big hammer? You were allowed to use the big hammer, but you weren't allowed to use the little hammer. Was too far. Yes,
that was too far. In a Hell in a Cell match where anything goes.
Yeah, where people have been thrown off it before. Remember, but that's not the point we're here to speak about today. It stands to reason that we're still not quite sure. Well, at least in my mind, anyway. That is Bray Wyatt Uncle Howdy, or is Uncle Howdy Uncle Howdy? Is Bray Wyatt, moonlighting as Uncle Howdy, doing all these horrible things and then doing all these promo packages where he's telling Bray Wyatt to do horrible things? Then he's appeared there in the flesh for the first time on SmackDown. Is it actually Bray Wyatt with the mask on?
See, I feel it is purely in the fact that when he was slapped for the second time, he kind of disassociated and he stared off into the distance, and he looked like he managed. Bray Wyatt is fantastic at his storytelling using his face,
his eyes.
Yeah. He completely changed. It was looking like he looked like a completely different person in a sense of like his character was completely different. I think it is him as Uncle Howdy. And until we see him take the mask off.
I do as well, because if you remember at Extreme Rules when he first came back, what was he wearing when he first came through the door? He had that mask on. So
he had the mask. So just makes sense. Maybe we'll see a match between him and LA Knight at some point soon.
LA Knight will win.
You'll be cheering on LA Knight. But speaking of potential matches, this past week, Logan Paul on Impulsive said that he'd love to face John Cena at WrestleMania because it's his birthday. He'll hopefully be healed in time, and it's in Hollywood, and who better to face than John Cena, right?
Yeah.
Well, John Cena's taken to Instagram now. We know he loves a troll, and he posts some cryptic nonsense on there, but he's posted a photo of Stone Cold Steve Austin with his head replaced by Logan Paul. And
it says Stone Cold someday, ? So is that referencing a WrestleMania match potentially? Is it referencing anything in the future ever? Potentially. We have no idea. I tell you what, sat here as a wrestling fan, I'd much rather see Stone Cold versus John Cena than Logan Paul versus John Cena. But I can see why each match would make sense. They're going to do big business, aren't they, either way?
Either way, and that's the sort of like, it's a big clash for folk that don't watch wrestling. Seeing Logan Paul take on the wrestler that they know, like, that would work. I think Logan Paul could have a great match with Cena as well.
Of course he could.
He's fantastic.
Yes, he is very good.
He really
is. Sickening, isn't it?
It really is. It's upsetting.
But yeah, it is, is it kudos to the guy for having the bollocks just to go, I want to face John Cena at WrestleMania after 3 matches. I admire the Kavorka there,
I mean, yeah, props to him. I can see why he's doing it. He was the main event of Crown Jewel in a very acclaimed match, and it's the biggest most watched show outside of
in the history of Saudi Arabia, isn't it? Yeah,
something like that, and also like of shows outside the United States.
Is it actually?
I think it topped Clash at the Castle.
God, the low gang making the difference.
Yeah, no surprise. Logan going, oh, you put me in a show, I will make you money. Yeah. So him versus John Cena would do that. Now we're going to jump over to talk about Survivor Series again slightly, but Candice LeRae is doing much better, supposedly, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. What is the story, Ross?
Yes, this comes from Ravy Davey Meltzer. He says, the women's match is now the babyface foursome of Belair, Asuka, Bliss, and Yim, or Mishin, I think her nickname is now.
Good, yeah.
Mishin, which means crazy in Korean, I've been led to believe by herself on the show. She said that with her own mouth. And someone to be named later against the heel group of Bayley, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley. The two names that fit into the storyline for the fifth person are Beth Phoenix and Candice LeRae. They showed a clip of Phoenix taking the concerto from Ripley on Raw this past week, which would seem to indicate that she's the one. She's the one. She's the one. LeRae started out affiliated with Belair and Asuka and Bliss, and then did an injury angle on television and hasn't been seen or talked about since. The only word is that she's doing much better. That's nice to hear, but I think with Rhea Ripley continually bringing up Beth Phoenix just because, what was the last pay-per-view? Was it outside Saudi Arabia where she had the hair sort of done like Beth Phoenix?
Yes.
Like, this is a tribute to the late Beth Phoenix.
Yeah.
She's kept that name alive. She's kept that feud alive, so I guess Phoenix makes the most sense there. Although Candice LeRae will do more impressive things off the cage. Because she's crazy.
It would be more impressive for Candice LeRae. I'd be happy with Beth Phoenix, considering obviously they've alluded in the past that Rhea's kind of feuding with her. She took out Edge and Beth Phoenix recently, so like that makes sense to round off that storyline. But yeah, I would rather see Candice.
Yeah, I'll be happy with either. One's a storyline thing, other one just for impressive moves off the top of the cage.
We're going to end on a little bit of juicy news about the next upcoming AEW video game.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the CM Punk was on the front cover, and that was quite widely talked about. It was like, oh, this is great. He's going to sell the game to people that only know CM Punk. They've missed out on wrestling games. Well, PlayStation released a new trailer for AEW Fight Forever on their YouTube page last night, which highlighted some of the key features of the game. So I'm quite excited for this, Ross. I know I'm a big
I am as well. I like a wrestling video game. That fits in my bracket. I've only got a couple of them.
Fantastic. Well, you can look forward to a deep career mode, a create a wrestler mode, and loads of different match types, including lights out. Now, before we recorded, we watched the trailer. thumbtacks.
Thummy tacks are in there.
Thumbtacks. That got Ross quite excited.
There's a little bit of footage of Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker in the game. There's blood all over, splattered all over the mat, and then you see thumbtacks everywhere. So that's gnarly, that dudes, you know.
It's very gnarly. But we also get what else is gnarly is we get our first glimpse of Bryan Danielson, Sting, Orange Cassidy, and MJF in the game for the first time. And then the final end slate shows a new front cover for the game, or new key artwork, which notably has replaced CM Punk. He's been replaced front and center by Kenny Omega, and then all the names that we mentioned there that we got our first look at have then been added to the key artwork. So it looks like Punk is being booted out of the game.
That's the final confirmation, if we needed it at this point, that he's just done with AEW. So let's all move on.
Let's not talk about CM Punk ever again. But that is all we have for video 1 of today. We will be back later on with video 2. Ross, have you got anything you'd like to plug?
The Cultaholic Wrestling podcast from yesterday.
Yeah.
Why the hell not? Give it a watch. It's on your YouTube and on your podcast feeds right now. And then there's also a new footballing YouTube channel going to be born in the next week or so, maybe, called Hold and Give. At Hold and Give on the YouTube. You'll see my face as the profile picture. Thank you very much.
So keep an eye on that one, but we will see you later.